What?
There you go. There you go.
And up.
A little bit more.
Yeah,
Right there. You went a little far. You got to see the white stripe over there.
Little tiny tip.
Bam.
Yeah, that's about it. Yeah.
That's about it. All praises.
Alright, a thorn in the flesh. A thorn in the flesh. Alright, this class is you're gonna be talking about Paul's thorn in his flesh, and we need to understand that we all have thorns. You might see brothers up there teaching all magnificently and bringing out precepts after precepts, and they know the Bible, they strong. They got humongous congregations, but they got a thorn. It come with a thorn. It come at a healthy price. And they may not tell you. See, that's what a thorn is. They ain't gonna tell you what a thorn. They ain't gonna tell you what's really, you know what I'm saying, humbling them. Because usually those things, when you have great success, especially in ministry, you can get a little prideful. And there's something there that's humbling brothers who's there. Some brothers still, you know what I'm saying, prideful, but there is always a thorn there that brothers are not gonna show you on the videos. They're not gonna show you, they're not gonna tell you, they're not gonna do a lesson on it. But we have to understand that everybody has a thorn in them. A lot of people want the anointing. We want the anointing that certain brothers and sisters have. But at the end of the day, you got to understand that anointing came more than likely with some kind of testimony or some thorn that they were dealing with. All right, we all have thorns, all of us. All right, it's a Swahili proverb. Life has meaning only in the struggle. Victory or defeat is in the hand of God, so let us celebrate the struggle. It's a Swahili proverb. Life has meaning only in the struggle. Victory or defeat is in the hand of the Most High, so let us celebrate the struggle. Anyone who seeks to make a difference suffers along the way. Anybody seeking to make a difference will suffer along the way. You know what I'm saying? You deal with Gandhi, Mother Teresa, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X. You know what I'm saying? Whether we can debate whether what they did was effective or not. You know what they did, what they tried to do, end up still getting them killed or having them dealing with some sort of suffering. All right, and I can imagine even Martin Luther King suffering to the point even dealing with the fact of hiding the fact of his lust for white women and having to have that and fight for the freedoms and the civil liberties for his people, but secretly, cheating on his wife and loving white women. Or maybe even there's rumors even with him and Bernard Rustin actually having an affair and being homosexual. Possible thorns. For those who may not think they got a thorn, this is just some possibilities of thorns. A wife or husband you don't love. All right, having to stay with that woman because you made that vow, having to stay with that man because you made that vow. Physical pains, physical deformities, hairline, children of special needs, kids lost to the world, homelessness, overweight, kids that hate you or grow up to hate you. You know what I'm saying? Old and unmarried, old and single, spend the rest of your life by yourself. Your criminal past. I put addictions. Addictions. A past of abused childhood that can be a thorn. You know what I'm saying? You be like, oh, well, sister, why you so beautiful? You so beautiful, sister. Then she's got a humble spirit. And you wonder how she got that humble. She's so, you know what I'm saying? She might have been molested, might have been abused in her childhood. Financial thorns, all right? Health thorns, you know what I'm saying? Secret health battles that people are battling and don't want nobody to know. was a past relationship you might have came up out of homosexuality, but you still got hit with a thorn. You still caught a thorn of AIDS, HIV, maybe battling cancer. You know what I'm saying? Preaching the ministry. Then all of a sudden, the brother died. You're like, wow, that brother's so strong. He died. The brother had cancer, just like the Black Panther brother. You know what I'm saying? And we were going in on him. A lot of people were going in on him, how he done lost weight and did all these things. Then find out the man had, you know what I'm saying, had colon cancer. All right, so listen, we all got it. And a thorn, some you don't like to have conversations about. Some things that you're dealing with that you don't want to tell nobody about, and they dare to humble you, to make you not think too much of yourself, to not exalt yourself too much, that you think of yourself soberly. All right, thorns in our flesh. Let's look at Numbers chapter 33, verse 55. And we're just dealing with, we should go to have some examples, other examples. We all know that Paul has a thorn in his flesh. That's where we got it from. We are going to read that. But just to go ahead and get out the way to see how the Most High, we see in the text how thorns in the flesh is used in other cases. Because scholastically, people are still debating on whether or not, what was Paul's thorn in his flesh? What was it? Was it his ailments with blindness? I got a couple precepts on that. I may read at the end. I ain't put it in the lesson. But a lot of people feel it was blindness because he spoke on being blinded, or his eyes having this problem with his eyes a couple times. I've had some non-messianic say that he was a pedophile. Of course, they don't even believe in the text, but that's how they felt about Paul because, women, lust for women. So there's a couple different stances scholastically that you know what I'm saying, you know, that scholars say that, you know what I'm saying, Paul might have been his it might have been his thorn. It's another one I'm gonna place in here, another example that we can look at. It's kind of real simple. It's not really something deep we got to go into. We just gonna look at this, and then just another, you know what I'm saying, another one to add to the debate on what was Paul's actual flesh. But so to establish that first, let's look at thorns in the text and how it was used in the text. When we do that with Numbers 33:55. Who's gonna read from it? You read all praises.
Reading from the book of Numbers, chapter 33, verse 55. But if ye will not drive out the inhabitants of the land from before you, then it shall come to pass that those which ye let remain of them shall be pricks in your eyes, and thorns in your sides.
They should be pricks in your eyes and thorns in your sides. Come on.
And shall vex you in the land wherein ye dwell.
And shall vex you in the land that you dwell. All right. We see here that the nations will be thorns in your sides and shall vex you wherein ye dwell. Let's look at Joshua 23:13. I apologize about, I don't know how the precept got on the other end. We look at Joshua 23 and 13. Come.
Reading from the book of Joshua, chapter 23, verse 13. Know for certainty that the Lord your God will no more drive out any of these nations from before you, but they shall be snares and traps unto you, and scourges in your sides.
And scourges in your sides, come on.
And thorns in your eyes.
And thorns in your eyes. And thorns in your eyes. Keep going.
Until ye perish from off this good land which the Lord our God hath given you.
And so we seeing that the Most High is using these other nations as thorns to prick us, to agitate us, to do His purpose. When we say the Most High guides our steps, a lot of us are guided by practicality. Are guided. I ain't become a cook because I wanted to cook, right? I ain't want to run no kitchen. But that's what I end up starting there and start getting little crappy jobs, and then my mental kept me where I know I need to job. I only went to get a job when I needed, like I done got fired to get. So when in that position, you're gonna try to get what you mostly qualify for, because you can't wait on finding something that you want to do. So you know what I'm saying, and just finding something in practical, you know what I'm saying. So a lot of times we're like, the Most High is gonna guide us in that way also, where we have to do certain things. All right, he's gonna prick us and pull us certain ways where we have to go certain directions spiritually.
And at this age, you don't want to start a little bit retrained, start at the bottom, making the least amount of money. At least now you got some experience, so your pay grade is up here instead of there.
Right, yeah, right. And you done gained, and now you got some management experience.
Right.
So now you know what I'm saying, you know you can be a manager doing this. But you know also it's a peak. So they're gonna pay you so much to run no restaurant.
Right.
Or to run, you know what I'm saying, or to run just a section inside of a spot. You know what I'm saying? So but like I say, we make those decisions. We don't go out here and we just, you know, trying to be exactly what we want to be, or even know what we want to be. You know what I'm saying? I was talking to my dad about that. I was like, man, I don't want to do nothing. I want to be completely honest. I want to just be able to do what I want to do. You know what I'm saying? But sometimes I want to do this. Sometimes I want to do that. But I don't want to always have to do the same thing over and over all the time, man. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I like sewing. Sometimes I like cooking. Sometimes I like working. I don't like working on cars. But you know what I'm saying? You know, there is good money in that also. So, you know, a lot of those things, you know what I'm saying, the reward also kind of guides us. But the Most High uses these people, uses these situations also to guide us, to pull us certain ways, and to put us, you know what I'm saying, into our purpose. Let's look at Judges chapter 2 and verse 3. And once we get to Paul's writing, we're going to be in there. A lot of people, like I say now, you got, you know, people trying to discredit Paul. Don't have no idea what Paul went through. No idea. You can't have any idea what Paul went through and try to discredit Paul in his writings and try to say that it wasn't, how they phrased it, like it wasn't, most of his words weren't guided by God, wasn't spiritually
Inspired.
Was spiritually inspired. It's a term they using, man. Judges chapter 2 and verse 3.
Reading from the book of Judges, chapter 2, verse 3. Wherefore I also said, I will not drive them out from before you, but they shall be as thorns in your sides, and their gods shall be a snare unto you.
They should be as thorns in your sides. Talking about these other nations. So you got three examples of those thorns being other nations to afflict. You had some? Oh, okay. I was just yawning. All right, so let's look at the 2 Corinthians 12. Look at the 2 Corinthians 12, and we're going to read 6 through 10.
Second Corinthians, God.
2
Corinthians 12, chapter 6. For though I would desire to glory, I shall not be a fool, for I will say the truth, but now I forbear, lest any man shall think of me above that which he seeth me to be, or that he heareth of me. And lest I should be exalted above measure through the abundance of the revelations. There was given to me a thorn in the flesh.
That was given. All right. That was given unto me. All right. At least I should be exalted above measure. At least I be exalted above measure through the abundance of revelations. There was given unto me a thorn in my flesh. All right. Keep going. And that's just the key there. Just Paul being given these revelations. All right, being revealed these things. I don't know how you can not say it's not inspired. Keep going.
The messenger of Satan to buffet me.
The messenger of Satan to buffet me. They was given the messenger of Satan to buffet me. What did it mean to buffet?
We talked about that before. I forgot.
To beat.
Beat.
To beat, yeah. To hit. Buffet means to beat. Let's look it up real quick. What verse was that? 2 Corinthians 12. What was that? 10?
7.
7? To strike with the fist.
Wow.
Give one a blow with the fist. To maltreat. Treat with violence and contumely.
Strong's G 2852. Calafizo.
Calafiso. To buffet. Alright. So a messenger of Satan was sent to strike him with fists, or to buffet him, to beat him, right? Or to maltreat him. Go ahead, brother.
And here it says that it means temptations from the devil.
Temptations from the devil, a messenger of Satan to give him temptations from the devil.
I guess tempt, I don't know. I mean, that's what it's saying here as
That's a Strong's number, or just giving you like a definition,
yeah, like
like a little study note.
At the bottom it tells it has like a number 1 by Buffett. And it says temptation from the devil.
Okay.
So I don't know. I'm just
Right. That's what I'm saying. Because I got the same one, and it just say beat.
Okay. Yeah,
So it could be you know what I'm saying, that publisher.
Satan to tempt you.
Right. It could be, you know what I'm saying, that could be.
Yeah, beat you, tempt you. I guess
But like we saying, we have different scholastic feelings on what this messenger actually was doing. You know what I'm saying? Now spiritually, it can be used to tempt. I'm not dealing with it spiritually. I'm dealing with it. I'm from this standpoint. I'm just taking it literal. That there was a messenger of Satan sent to buffet him. And then we're going to talk about the messenger, even the messenger of Satan. Like, who would that be? You see what I'm saying? Not that it'll be some spiritual demon, or, you know what I'm saying, but that it will actually be, you know what I'm saying, it could be an Israelite.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It could be an Israelite, but it can also be, you know, just be a man, period. All right. But we're going to look into that. Like I said, we're going to be in Paul's writings. And I know that's a general consensus that that he was sent a messenger to buffet him or to tempt him. That's the general consensus on it. All right. Least I should be exalted above measure. Keep going on that.
Verse 8. For this thing I besought the Lord thrice.
All right. For this thing he sought the Lord twice. For what thing?
For the buffeting.
For the buffeting. All right. Keep going.
That it might depart from me.
Uh-huh.
And he said unto me, my grace is sufficient for thee.
My grace is sufficient for thee. He asked 3 times to get this thing to depart from him. And I can see that, even that departing from him, meaning this is something that's internal. Right? You know what I'm saying? I can see people taking that stance also. But my grace is sufficient for thee. Keep going.
For my strength is made perfect in weakness.
Uh-huh.
Most gladly, therefore, will I glory in my infirmities, that the power of Christ may rest upon me.
Keep going.
Therefore, I take pleasure in infirmities, and reproaches, and necessities, and persecutions, and distresses for Christ's sake.
Therefore, I take pleasures in infirmities, reproaches, and necessities, persecutions, distresses, and for Christ's sake. For when I am what?
For when I am weak,
Uh-huh.
then am I strong.
Then am I strong. So we going some of the highlighted portions. We gonna go into some of these highlighted portions to break the verse down a little more. Should I be exalted above measure through the abundance of revelations? The thorn in the flesh, the messenger of Satan. Be seeing that thing 3 times. He sought that thing 3 times. Made perfect in weakness, and taking pleasure in our infirmities. All right, messenger or angel. All right, messenger or angel. What was being said there? Let's just go over a chapter. And let's look at 2 Corinthians 11, verse 13. Now, angelos is used, that's the Greek word for angel, but it's also defined as a messenger, envoy, one who is sent, an angel, or messenger from God. All right, all of these can be angelos, all right, or an angel. All right, and it's used 7 times for messenger, but 179 times for angel. But let's look at 2 Corinthians 11, verse 13. We're going to 11, verse 13.
2 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 13. For such are false apostles, deceitful workers, transforming themselves into the apostles of Christ.
Transforming themselves to the apostles of Christ. Now, Paul is going against, you know what I'm saying, like some Pharisaic teachings or some Israelites that, you know what I'm saying, are teaching, you know what I'm saying, teaching against him, or trying to say that he don't know what he's talking about, or teaching against the gospel that was allotted unto him. And so this is what he's addressing, these false apostles, deceitful workers. He's talking to Israelites. Keep going.
And no marvel, for Satan himself is transformed into an angel of light.
Satan himself is transformed into an angel of light. Come on.
Therefore, it is no great thing if his ministers also be transformed as the ministers of righteousness, whose end shall be according to their work. So
it's no great thing also that if his ministers, if Satan can be transformed into an angel of light or a messenger of light, it's no great thing either that his ministers also be transformed into ministers of righteousness. All right, ministers, or you know what I'm saying, messengers of Satan. So if Satan can be turned into an angel, why wouldn't his messengers be turned into an angel? And his messengers, that his ministers are of righteousness, ministers also be transformed. Who is the ministers that he's talking about here? Who are the ministers of Satan that Paul is saying is speaking of right here? The people, the Israelites, the people who going against them, right? And it's I'm really just using this verse to show that they can be messengers of Satan also. All right. So we also see a messenger of Satan being sent to buffet him. That can be an actual person being sent, you know what I'm saying, to buffet or to beat Paul. And we seen this in the chapter right before the 2 Corinthians 12. And it's all in context of the same. He's all speaking on the same matter. And we go like I said, we're gonna be in Paul's writings pretty much the rest of this class. Let's look at Galatians, the exaltation of oneself. All right, the exaltation of oneself and the dangers of that. Also, the beginning he was saying that nobody sees me more than they should, or higher than they should see me, or higher that they have heard of me. So it's also dangerous also to look at certain people and think, and put them and exalt them higher than one should, because it'll give you a false sense of expectations, or when you come into a congregation, because offense is gonna come. I think I got that in here. Offense is gonna come. You know what I'm saying? Certain people gonna say certain things that's gonna hurt people's feelings, and that's part we gotta do. That's part of rebuke, part of reproach. It got to have. We ain't gonna always get along. We ain't gonna. And if we have that expectation, or I say a lot of times I don't like doing the unity camp sometimes because I don't want to see I don't want to see that brother do, you know what I'm saying, something crazy, or I get a different because I have my expectation too high. And it's a dangerous for that.
Right, it leads to disappointment.
It leads to disappointment in that particular individual or that particular organization to think that certain things aren't going to come. I seen with one organization, brothers pulled up the fact that the brother has bad credit and that the congregation got to keep giving them money. Right?
Wow.
That's kind of, you know what I'm saying? Because you don't know what, again, everybody got a thorn. You don't know what brothers is going through to go out there to try to teach the word. You don't even know that brother wants to do that. He may pretend like he want to do it, but he got them instructions. He might have been crying. He might have went home talking to his wife. Man, Joker told me I got to go to Dawn, New Hampshire. And we just got here. You feel what I'm saying? And so we'll look at that and say, man, this Joker traveling the world, man. He got the best job, he got the best thing ever. And then you see the Joker can't even credit card bill sky high. You know what I'm saying? Broke. Having to be. Can you imagine having to ask something? Like, you think they want to do that? They want to have to ask your congregation, man, I need $50 to do. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to have to, especially when you don't want to have to do that. But that's what I'm saying. We don't know that everybody has those thorns. Go ahead, brother.
And then being that they're higher up, you don't want to tell them no.
And you definitely don't want to, you know what I'm saying? You definitely
don't want to do it, or you just can't tell them, hey, Lord will take care of you.
Wait a minute.
$50 in my life.
Wait a minute, man. What you talking about? Yeah, man. What you talking about?
You don't have enough faith, bro.
And then to take your rank.
Yeah.
Then demote you.
Yeah.
Then say, well, I get somebody else to do it. I get somebody else that thorn. You know what I'm saying? So we just, but we got to be mindful of the thing. And I say, we'll go into that situation. Like, I want to travel. I want to, that group always traveling. I want to get over there. Man, they got all these women. I want to give. Then you get over there, and then you seeing something different. It ain't what you thought it was. It ain't, you know what I'm saying? Those trips ain't fun like you thought they were. You know what I'm saying? I thought that DC thing was gonna be a little better. It's all saying, you know what I'm saying? What you thought it was. So you don't want to have those, it's dangerous in that people seeing, you know what I'm saying, others more than they should. And then we also have here the exaltation of oneself, one thinking that he is higher than he should. And a lot of times we do that by comparing ourselves to others instead of comparing ourselves to the text. We'll say we'll pump ourselves up on the fact that, well, this brother, you know what I'm saying, barely keep the Sabbath, and I'm, you know what I'm saying, I'm super righteous because I'm doing it and I'm doing that, blah, 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 blah. But you judge yourself soberly according to the text, not according to, you know what I'm saying, some brother that's loot. You know what I'm saying? And if we do that and we surround ourselves with people that are kind of loot and we're judging, we can pump up and be like, man, I know I'm in there. I know I'm in there. You know what I'm saying? Because brother ain't doing what I'm doing. I know everybody ain't doing what I'm doing. He ain't doing what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? So one can exalt himself. That's how that can come about. But let's look at that. Galatians chapter 6, verse 3. Exaltation of oneself.
Reading from the book of Galatians, chapter 6, verse 3. For if a man think himself to be something when he is nothing, he deceiveth himself. But let every man prove his own work.
Mm-hmm. Let every man prove his own work. See, prove your own work. Don't prove nobody. Don't prove it. Don't test your works according to somebody else's works. Prove your own works. Come on.
And then shall he have rejoicing in himself alone, and not in another.
Come on.
For every man shall bear his own burden. Let him that is taught in the word communicate unto him that teacheth in all good things. Be not deceived. God is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that
he
shall he also reap.
Let's go to Romans 12 and 3. That's all I wanted. That's all I wanted. For a man think of himself to be something when he is nothing, he deceiveth himself. Let every man prove his own work. All right. Let every man prove his own work. Romans 12:3.
God.
Uh,
Reading from the book of Romans, chapter 12, verse 3. For I say, through the grace given unto me, to every man that is among you, not to think of himself more highly than he ought to think, but to think soberly.
But to think soberly. Come on.
According as God hath dealt to every man the measure of faith.
According to every man has dealt the measure of faith. Everybody been dealt a different measure of faith. And you got to prove your own works. All right, test your own works. Man, when you testing them, think soberly. You know what I'm saying? Don't be, you know what I'm saying? You know, just be disciplined with your thinking. And be honest. Be honest about it. You going down to 6. Oh, yes. Yeah, you going down to verse 6.
Verse 4. For as we have many members in one body, and all members have not the same office.
All members have not the same office. Come on.
So we, being many, are one body in Christ, and everyone members of another. Having then gifts differing according to the grace that is given to us. Whether prophecy, let us prophesy according to the proportion of faith.
So we all one body. We all got different measures of faith. All have different gifts. You know what I'm saying? I remember playing football, and all the big jokers with little legs want to be running back.
built for speed.
300 pounds, man. 300 pounds got them little legs, though, and they swear they can be running backs, man. Running the 5'1", running the 5'1" they swear they can be a fullback or something, man. Don't want to play their position. Don't want to play their position, man. Exalting themselves higher than they should. Not thinking soberly. Boy, you 300 pounds, you need to be on that front line, blocking and pulling. You got that speed so you can pull with the running back and get that defensive end. You ain't got that speed to be toting no rock, man. But anyway, Second Corinthians 3 and 5.
Second Corinthians chapter 3, verse 5. Not that we are sufficient of ourselves to think anything as ourselves, but our sufficiency is of God, who also made us able ministers of the New Testament, not of the letter, but of the Spirit.
Not of the letter, but of the Spirit. All right. Not that we are sufficient of ourselves to think anything of ourselves. Our sufficiency comes from the Most High. Our sufficiency comes from the Most High. Proverbs 3 and 7.
Reading from the book of Proverbs, chapter 3, verse 7. Be not wise in thine own eyes. Fear the Lord and depart from evil.
Be not wise in our own eyes. Fear the Lord and depart from evil. All right. All right. Could this be his thorn? All right. Now to go back to Paul. And we seen that those messengers of Satan, we seen in 2 Corinthians. Let's go back to that 2 Corinthians 11. We seen earlier in chapter 11 those messengers of if Satan can be an angel of light, definitely his messengers can turn into messengers of righteousness. But 11 and 16, we're gonna read all the way to verse 33. All right, but we just read verse 15. There is no great thing. Therefore, it is no great thing if his ministers also be transformed as ministers of righteousness. All right.
Verse 16. I say again, let no man think me a fool. If otherwise, yet as a fool receive me, that I may boast myself a little. That which I speak it not after the Lord, but as it were foolishly, in this confidence of boasting.
All right, so Paul got to boast, and he's boasting against those messengers or those ministers of Satan that have been transformed into ministers of righteousness. He's buffeting against them because they calling themselves, if you look at verse 5 in there, it says, "For I suppose I was not a whit behind the very chiefest apostles." Some of those chiefest apostles is who these people who are exalting themselves into these positions. This is who he has to boast and show them. Listen, man, y'all ain't did nothing. Y'all ain't been through what I've been through to come in here and trying to, you know what I'm saying, teach over my gospel. Keep going. Verse 18, con.
Okay. 18. Seeing that many glory after the flesh, I will glory also.
Seeing that these jokers been glorying after the flesh, I'm gonna glory also. Keep going.
For ye suffer fools gladly, seeing ye yourselves are wise.
Cause you deal with these jokers gladly, man. You deal with them because you think you wise too. Keep going. And it's almost seemed like a little, you know what I'm saying, like a little jab he throwing at them. Keep going.
For ye suffer, if a man bring you into bondage, if a man devour you, if a man take of you, if a man exalted himself, if a man smite you on the face, I speak as concerning reproach, as though we had been weak. Howbeit, whensoever any is bold, I speak foolishly, I am bold also.
All right, I speak foolishly. Now understand that I don't really trying to speak like this, but because you suffer fools gladly, and you got these jokers thinking that they somebody, let me help you remember, man. Keep going.
Are they Hebrews?
Uh-huh.
So am I.
So am I. Come on.
Are they Israelites?
Uh-huh.
So am I.
Come on.
Are they the seed of Abraham?
Uh-huh.
So am I. Are they ministers of Christ? I speak as a fool. I am more. And labors more abundant. And stripes above men measure.
You said they saying they ministers of Christ. I'm telling you, I'm more ministers of Christ than them. Come on.
And prisons more frequent.
And I've been in prison more frequently. Got the stripes above measure. Keep going.
And death oft.
And in death oft. Come on.
Of the Jews 5 times received, I 40 stripes saved one.
Uh-huh. And of the Jews, 5 times received thy stripes.
Thrice was I beaten with rods.
How many times?
Thrice was I beaten with rods.
They said 3 times he was beaten with rods. 3 times he was beaten with rods. Just to take it literal. 3 times he was beaten with rods. And in the same context, he's speaking on those messages. Go ahead, brother.
And when you look at that and you see what you're doing, it should be like, I'm not doing.
Bro, you ain't doing what you think you doing.
I mean,
What you
it should
think you
just
doing?
automatically say, you know, like, it doesn't matter what different things we're supposed to be doing, the different, whether it's feast days, tabernacles, doesn't matter what it is. Sometimes we make it like things are hard, or we can't do it because of this or that. And you got people getting stripes, getting hit with poles and stuff, but you can't do basic stuff, but you're supposed to be super Israelite. But you think you're super Israelite. But when you compare it to what they went through, you know what I mean?
And their persecutions.
Yeah.
Like, you going crazy about this vaccine. That man was stoned to death and left dead. You ain't see no persecution. You ain't see no persecution, man. In prison often. All right, keep going. But the beating 3 times with the rods. The beating 3 times with the rods. I think kind of goes into him having to pray about that 3 times. Keep going though, and I'll come back to that.
Once was I stoned. Thrice I suffered shipwreck. A night and a day I have been in the deep.
All right. Right. How many times? Thrice shipwrecked. A night and a day he out there in the open ocean. Come on.
And journeyings often. And perils of waters and perils of robbers. And perils by my own countrymen.
By my own countrymen. In perils by my own countrymen. Beating me, man. Of the Jews 5 times. I received 40 stripes. -1. Keep going.
And perils by the heathen. And perils in the city. And perils in the wilderness.
Come on.
And perils in the sea.
Come on.
And perils among false brethren.
And perils around false brethren. You know what I'm saying? You can't think you finna go in a congregation and not meet no false brethren. They in there. They everywhere. You know what I'm saying? Keep going.
And weariness and painfulness.
And weariness, painfulness, come on.
And watchings often.
Uh-huh.
And hunger and thirst.
Come on.
And fastings often.
Come on.
And cold and nakedness.
Come on.
Beside those things that are without, that which cometh upon me daily, the care of all of the churches.
On top of all of this, I still got to care for the churches. I'm still got to be in class teaching these people and giving them the gospel and hearing their problems and hearing them talk about they husband just got well, listen, he just gonna give him 40 strikes. I took it 3 times. It's gonna trying to comfort them. You see what I'm saying? And I realized, man, that man got a heavy thorn on him. All right, keep going.
Besides those things that are whipped out. I read that. Salakia.
Verse 29.
Who is weak, and I am not weak.
Who is weak? Am I not weak? Huh? And am I not weak? Yeah, come on. Am I not weak? Come on.
Who is offended and burn not.
Come on.
If I must needs glory, I will glory of the things which concern my infirmities. The God and the Father of our Lord, Mashiach Yahushua, which is blessed forever more, knoweth that I lie not. In Damascus, the governor under Aretas, the king, kept the city of Damascus with a garrison, desirous to apprehend me.
Kept it with a garrison, desirous to apprehend him, hoping that they can get Paul. I got it here just so when I get him, I'm gonna chop his head off. When I get him, this is specifically for Paul. Don't y'all put nobody else on for him. Specifically for him. Keep it here. We needed another. Nah, keep it here because I think Paul, we gonna catch him. We gonna catch him. Keep going.
And through a window in a base basket was I left down by the wall.
Uh-huh.
And escaped his hands. Got out of the prison break. You know what I'm saying? Did all these things. All right, so, but the thrice I was beaten. Thrice I was beaten with rods, and then I asked this messenger of Satan was sent 3 times to buffet me. I kind of linked those two, and just the fact of sitting inside a prison, knowing. Then you imagine this, sitting in prison, and you know you're about to get beaten. You know what the judgment is, and you asking God, let me, you know what I'm saying, bring me up out of this. You know these folks will try to beat me for your name's sake. Get me out of here. And the Most High saying, my grace is sufficient. Go out there and take it, champ. Then you're in prison again, and you get the judgment. And these folks finna beat you. You know you finna get beaten with the rods. And you send out a prayer. And he tell you, my grace. Huh?
What do you say? What I told you before?
What I told you? Why you keep asking? Probably didn't even answer. Probably didn't even answer. And just like Christ, having to go, you know what I'm saying, pray 3 times in Gethsemane to that cup to pass, because he didn't want to deal with his thorns. He ended up having to wear thorns. Or they had been able to give him a crown of thorns on his head. You know, king of thorns. All right, of what he had to go through. All right. So beaten thrice, I kind of linked them. That's a literal place. Not saying that that's it, but just to add to the scholastic conversations, that him being thrice could just be him having that being buffeted twice by the messenger of Satan could be just, you know what I'm saying, him being captured and actually beaten 3 times. As he said, he got beat 3 times with the rods. His grace is sufficient. Could have did a whole class. We got a couple classes on grace, but we pulled a couple of these precepts. I think about 3 more slides in this thing. I know this. This toasted classroom got them eyes heavy. we go get through this thing. Ephesians 4 and 7. Ephesians 4 and 7. Just gonna deal with fruit precepts on his grace being sufficient, his grace being enough. And I understand Paul had a very heavy anointing. Had a very heavy anointing, and it came with a very heavy thorn. And no thorn was bigger than the one that Yahushua had poking him.
Reading from the book of Ephesians, chapter 4, verse 7. But unto every one of us is given grace according to the measure of the gift.
Every one of us is given grace according to the measure of the gift of Christ. All right, we've been given grace according to the measure. 1 Corinthians 10 and 13.
From the book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 10, verse 13. There have no temptation taken you was such as is common to man. But God is faithful, who will not suffer you to be tempted above that ye are able.
All right, therefore no temptation, all right, is taking you, but such that is coming. Everybody going through it. Don't think that you the only one that got this particular situation that's keeping you out of it. That same thing may be keeping you, you know what I'm saying, keeping you from the word. It's just, same thing the person going through that's teaching it. Maybe even going even heavier. You know what I'm saying? So that, all things are pretty much common. Those temptations common unto you. A lot of people going through it. A lot of people may get, you know what I'm saying, I heard sisters, just destroyed about, having been raped. But, it's sad, but it's a common thing. It's a common problem that a lot of sisters have to overcome. You have to move on with your life, man. You can't let that, be that blockage and make it stagnant for you where, it becomes problematic within your life. But that's all you stuck on. That's all you talk about is, that, or you blame it on that, but all those things are that are common to man. And he that is faithful, God is faithful, who will suffer not you to be tempted above what you can handle. So if it happens, you can handle it. He's not going to put you through something that's going to break you, that's meant to break you. It's just meant for you to keep going on that. But will what?
But will the temptation also make a way to escape, that ye may be able to bear it?
All right, but with the temptation, there also will be always a way to escape. Now, whether you take that way to escape or not, is on a particular individual. But like I say, certain things, bad things may happen. They can be also testimonies. You know what I'm saying? They also can be used for you to go out there and be an advocator against that. You know what I'm saying? Or say you was in an abusive relationship. You could be an advocator for those abuses, to shut those things down, to build shelters for people who are going through those certain situations. They can fuel you to do other things and to help people rather than it being something that's destroying you. But you gotta take that path to escape. Let's look at 1 Peter 5 and 10. You had something up? 1 Peter 5:10.
First Peter chapter 5, verse 10. But the God of all grace, who have called us unto his eternal glory by Hamashiach Yahushua, after that ye have suffered a while, make you perfect, establish, strengthen, settle you.
Yeah, all right. So after you have suffered a while, all right, but the God of all grace, who have called us to eternal glory through the Hamashiach Yahushua, after you have suffered a while, make you perfect, establish, strengthen, settle you. And that's what that perfection goes into. You got to be made perfect. I remember Ak was talking about putting his fish in the aquarium, and he said before I put them in there, I want to get all the levels. I want to get all the levels right. I want to make sure that the water level, I want to make sure the sand is in there properly, but I want to make sure that it's perfect. Perfection is a process. All right, perfection is a process. It ain't just you boom, you know what I'm saying, the blood to cover me, I'm perfect now. It's a process to you becoming perfect. All right, be ye perfect as the Father. Understand that is a process to that. All right, so don't be down on yourself because you came into this truth and you still falling to certain things. Just continue to attack those things and understand that he has not given you anybody any temptation, that all temptations are common to man, and he hasn't given you no temptation that you cannot bear, that you cannot come up out of. Let's look at James 4 and 6.
You skipped that 1 Peter?
No, we just read that 1 Peter.
Oh, okay. Oh, my bad.
Don't worry about it. We good. Told you that heat, well.
Man, heat got you going.
That heat, man.
Right mind.
Man. James 4 and 6.
Reading from the book of James, chapter 4, verse 6. But he giveth more grace, wherefore he saith, God resisteth the proud, but giveth grace unto the humble.
But he giveth more grace, wherefore he saith, God resisteth the proud, but giveth grace to the humble. That's why that humility got to be there. Let's look at Acts 20:32. I think you got maybe one or two more slides after this, y'all. Acts 20 and 32.
Reading from the book of Acts, chapter 20, verse 32. And now, brethren, I commend you to God and to the word of his grace, which is able to build you up and to give you an inheritance among all them which are sanctified.
All right, that grace is able to build you up. All right, that grace is able to build you up. I think that next slide is going to go into that being perfected in weakness, or being strengthened in weakness. But that grace, all right, that grace is able to build you up and give you that inheritance. Titus 2 and 11. I say it's multiple meanings. There's multiple meanings on grace. You know what I'm saying? As far as it being a time period, as far as it being something that can build you up. Also, being thankful. I said Titus.
Titus chapter 2, verse 11. For the grace of God that bringeth salvation hath appeared to all men, teaching us that, denying ungodliness and worldly lust, we should live soberly, righteously, and godly in this present world, looking for that blessed hope and the glorious appearing of the great God and the Savior, Yahushua, who gave himself for us, that he might redeem us from all iniquity, and purify unto himself a peculiar people, zealous of good works.
A peculiar people, and those zealous of good works. But that we see a different grace that brings salvation, and that particular grace is teaching us to deny ungodliness, worldly lust, to live soberly, righteously, and godly in this present world. Pleasures and infirmities, Romans 5:3.
Reading from the book of Romans, chapter 5, verse 3. And not only so, but we glory in tribulations also, knowing that tribulation worketh patience, and patience experience, and experience hope. And hope maketh not ashamed, because the love of God is shed abroad in our hearts by the Holy Ghost, which is given unto us. For when we were yet without strength, in due time Christ died for the ungodly.
When we was out without strength, he died for the ungodly. But we glory in those tribulations, knowing that tribulations work of patience, patience, experience hope, and hope maketh not ashamed. But we glory in those tribulations, and we see that those tribulations work of patience. Let's look at 8:35. 8:35 through 39.
Romans chapter 8, verse 35. Who shall separate us from the love of Christ? Shall tribulation, or distress, or persecution, or famine, or nakedness, or peril, or sword? As it is written, for thy sake we are killed all the day long. We are accounted as sheep for the slaughter. Nay, in all these things we are more than conquerors through him that loved us. For I am persuaded that neither death, nor life, nor angels, nor principalities, nor powers, nor things present, nor things to come, nor height, nor depth, nor any other creature shall be able to separate us from the love of God, which is the Mashiach Yahushua, our Lord.
All right, so nothing should be able to separate us. Tribulations, famine, peril, death, life, angels. Nothing to be able to separate us from the love of the Mashiach Yahushua, the love of Christ. All right, made perfect in weakness. 2 Corinthians 13:4.
Reading from the book of 2 Corinthians, chapter 13, verse 4. For though he was crucified through weakness, yet he liveth by the power of God. For we also are weak in him, but we shall live with him by the power of God toward you.
All right, so we should live with him with the power of God towards us. But he was crucified in weakness and was risen with power. We likewise, through our weakness, will be risen with power. Look at Romans 5:7. Through the power of the Most High. Romans 5:7.
Reading from the book of Romans, chapter 5, verse 7. For scarcely for a righteous man will one die.
Mm-hmm.
Yet, peradventure, for a good man, some would even dare to die. But God commendeth his love toward us, and that while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us.
While we were yet sinners, Christ died for us, and we know that it's very rare that anyone would die for a righteous man, let alone, you know what I'm saying, maybe a few. You may find one or two that would die for a good man, that would dare to die for a good man. But we've seen that Christ, the Messiah, died for us being us being unrighteous. Keep going.
Much more then, being now justified by his blood, we shall be saved from wrath through them. Through him.
And we shall be saved from wrath. All right. We made perfect in our weaknesses through the blood of the Hamashiach. Ephesians 5, 3 through 16. And of course, Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Right. This is a little cliche. I just put it at the top. I know we learned that one in the Christian church. They were right on that one though.
Is that Ephesians 3:16?
3:16, yes sir.
Reading from the book of Ephesians chapter 3, verse 16. That he would grant you, according to the riches of his glory, to be strengthened with might by his spirit in the inner man.
Like he will grant you according to his riches, to the riches of his glory, and strengthen you by the might of, strengthen you with might by his spirit in no inner man, in those inner parts. All right, this is the last slide. Abraham sacrificing Isaac. There's also a great message in here about you know what I'm saying, somebody going through it while they trying to help. All right, somebody going through it while they trying to help, having a giant thorn on them, and guess who wearing the thorn? Let's read it. Genesis 1. We're gonna read 1 through 14, then we'll close it out. Genesis 22, Shalakia. Genesis 22, 1 through 14.
Reading from the book of Genesis, chapter 22. If a man shall steal an ox or a sheep and kill it.
Yeah, 22, Genesis.
Oh, damn, I'm Exodus. Reading from the book of Genesis, chapter 22. And it came to pass, after these things, that God did tempt Abraham and said unto him, Abraham, and he said, Behold, here I am.
And that temptation is a test. All right, when you see that it ain't something that he just you placing something in your face that you can't grab. Tempting. All right, this tempting is a test when it's dealing biblically. Keep going.
And he said, Take now thy son, thine only son Isaac, whom thou lovest, and get thee into the land of Moriah, and offer him there for a burnt offering upon one of the mountains, which I will tell thee of. And Abraham rose up early in the morning, and saddled his ass, and took 2 of his young men with him, and Isaac his son, and clave the wood for the burnt offering, and rose up and went unto the place of which God had told him. Then on the 3rd day Abraham lifted up his eyes, and saw the place afar off. And Abraham said unto his young men, Abide ye here with the ass, and I and the lad will go yonder and worship, and come again to you. And Abraham took the wood of the burnt offering, and laid it upon Isaac his son. And he took the fire in his hand, and a knife, and they went both of them together.
Now that verse 5, when he told the young men that was with him, and this is this a whole class really. It's a good a good lesson on the Messiah also being crucified, only begotten Son, etc. That ain't what I'm here. I'm not bringing that out with this. But Abraham saying to the young men, me and the lad will be back. You know what I'm saying? Showing his faith and understanding the mercy and grace of the Most High. He's saying we will come again to you. Verse 7?
Verse 7. And Isaac spake unto Abraham his father, and said, My father. And he said, Here I am, my son. And he said, Behold, the fire and the wood, But where's the lamb for a burnt offering?
He said, but where's the lamb? You got to find the wood. Where's the lamb for the burnt offering? Come on.
And Abraham said, my son, God will provide himself a lamb for a burnt offering.
And he said the Most High was going to provide a lamb for the burnt offering. Now they climbing this mountain. Come on.
So they went both of them together. And they came to the place which God had told them of. And Abraham built an altar there, and laid the wood in order, and bound out Isaac his son, and laid him on the altar upon the wood. And Abraham stretched forth his hand, and took the knife to slay his son. And the angel of the Lord called unto him out of heaven, and said, Abraham, Abraham. And he said, Here am I. And he said, Lay not thine hand upon the lad, neither thou anything unto him. For now I know that thou fearest God, seeing thou hast not withheld thy son, thine only son, from me. And Abraham lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, behind him a ram caught up in a thicket by his horns. And Abraham went and took the ram and offered him up for a burnt offering in the stead of his son.
And he took the ram. The hero here is the ram, because as they climbing up the mountain, the ram is also climbing up the mountain, right? The ram is also climbing up the mountain to be that sacrifice. But even the ram got caught in the thicket, all right? Got caught in some thorns. Had to fight to get his way up there to become that sacrifice. Keep going.
And Abraham called the name of that place Jehovah Jireh.
Uh-huh.
As it is said to this day, in the mount of the Lord it shall be seen.
All right, so that's all I wanted to bring out with that. It was just, hey, even that lamb, even that ram had to go through it, man, with the Most High. So we all gonna go through certain things and understand that, everybody has thorns. When you watching them on YouTube, and you seeing them, understand that it's probably a heavy thorn there, man. So keep brothers in prayers, keep sisters in prayers, and anybody anything else to add? Say shalom.